I want to talk to you this morning about waiting. The sense I have as I was preparing this message is that there were people who were in the process of waiting. This isn't going to be for everybody. Some of you, it's just going to be kind of like, oh, that was okay, you know. But there are some of you that have been in a position of waiting. And the Lord spoke to me about 4 different dimensions of waiting, and that He wanted to do something special for you. He wanted to meet you this morning in a special kind of way. So I'm gonna be sharing with you, and then at the end, we're just going to focus in for a moment for some ministry time on people who are in these 4 different situations that I'm going to describe in a little while. Well, waiting is a big part of our lives. We wait for acceptance decisions from colleges. We wait for medical test results. We wait for acceptance of job applications. We wait at the Motor Vehicle Bureau. We wait at the post office. We wait for packages to arrive. We wait in traffic. We wait for planes and trains. We wait for stoplights. We wait at restaurants. We even wait to sign in at leadership conferences, even though they've done a fantastic job with everything here. I literally could not list all the different ways that we wait. If we tried to do it, we would just fill pages and pages and pages. Waiting is such a big part of our lives. We even have rooms that are dedicated to it. You know, waiting rooms. You know, you never have like this is the room you go into when something's going to happen. You know, the happening room, right? You know, we have a room dedicated to waiting rooms, you know, and then some of us have been put on waiting lists, you know, and again, we find ourselves kind of going, you know, do you have another list, like something gets done list? You know, why am I on the waiting list? And waiting, you know, when you think about it, waiting is such a big part of our spiritual lives that literally one of the fruit of the Holy Spirit is patience. That God knew on this planet, in this world, we would need something supernatural to help us to endure and deal with all the waiting that we had to do. Well, waiting is a big deal in businesses and everything else. As a matter of fact, so sociologists have actually studied the idea of waiting. And one of the things they've discovered when they studied the idea of waiting was that waiting is different based on our perception. That is, it's not really related to I waited for 10 minutes, because depending on the kind of wait, 10 minutes can be like an hour. And again, depending on the kind of wait, an hour could seem like 10 minutes. And so they've concentrated their study of waiting to try and figure out what makes waiting excruciating, what makes it longer, what magnifies it, what changes our perception of the waiting experience that makes it even more negative for us. And I put down, they have what they call the 6 laws of waiting. I put down in your notes, and we'll just touch on these a little bit. I think you can identify with them. Number 1 is unoccupied time feels longer than occupied time. Your mommy taught you that when you were little. You know, she would say to you, a watched pot never boils. It never stops, really. Those of you how many have iPhones? You have iPhones? You're in that kind of class. Have you ever noticed on the iPhone, if you're texting, that when someone starts to text back to you, there's this little thing that appears with the 3 dots? Do you know what I'm talking about? And I don't know if you're like, you know, I text somebody, and then that thing appears, and I just stare at because I'm waiting for the message. You know, sometimes I'll stare and I'll stare and I'll stare. I think, what are they writing, a book? What's that? You know, what's going on? And then it'll disappear. And I'll think, would they say something? And then they thought, maybe I shouldn't say this, you know, and then they erased it, and you know, and then it'll start up again, you know, and you know, unoccupied time feels longer than occupied time. Another principle of waiting is uncertain waits are longer than known waits, known finite waits. So uncertain waits are longer. I remember one time I locked my keys in the car at Cedar Point Amusement Park. And when I realized my keys were locked in the car, my 2 teenage sons and my wife all loved to go out there to Cedar Point. It's a big roller coaster. They were all doing roller coasters like crazy. And I had my little daughter with me. And so I was supposed to be with her in the baby section. So I went anyway to the Cedar Point people. I said, what should I do? And they said, go stand by the yellow pole near the parking lot, and someone will come and open the door for you. So I got little Tracy, and I walking out to the yellow pole. I'm thinking, I wonder what they call this pole behind the scenes here. You know what I mean? The idiot pole? What do they call it? Go stand by the yellow pole, And so I go out there, and there are like 6 or 7 other idiots, sitting out in the grass there. And so I wait. And I wait, and I wait, and I wait. I'm trying to keep my daughter from frying on the asphalt. Finally, I go back to the little window where the lady is, and I say to her, nobody seems to be coming. Nobody is coming. And they have the window with the little hole in it. You know what I mean? And she says, oh, they'll be there any minute. See, that is the worst thing you can say, right? If she had said to me, they'll be there in an hour, I could have gone to the bathroom. Right? But they'll be there any minute. Right? I'm back there. And of course, this is just makes waiting terrible. I remember I went back to the window again, and that time when I went back, I was hoping she would put her face near the little hole. 5 hours later, they came and unlocked my car. Okay, number 3. All of these things have spiritual applications, but I'm going to let you make those applications yourself. Number 3, unexplained waits are longer than explained waits. Unexplained waits are longer than explained waits. If I'm told the doctor has an emergency, I have more patience than not knowing the cause of the wait, right? Unexplained waits they seem longer. This is why I find myself so frustrated with God often. Do you find yourself in that way? Because he seems like he offers no explanations at all for why he's doing, right? And so the wait can just seem like, if he just would tell you, the reason I can't do this is because of blah, 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 it'd be so much easier, right? But no, he just hangs you out there. Number 4, unfair waits are longer than fair waits. Unfair waits. You ever been in a line and had somebody cut in front of you? All at once that wait just became really, You could have been waiting for a half hour, and that person being in front of you might only cost an extra 2 minutes, but that 2 minutes, right? I've known some Christians that you could not tell they were Christians if somebody cut in front of them in a line. They were bold. They were bolder than they ever were in any evangelism they ever did. I mean, they called that person down, for what they did. Unfair waits are longer than fair waits. And number 5, solo waits feel longer than group waits. If you've ever been in line getting ready to get onto an airplane and you're there with a group of people, and often airplane lines are like elevators, nobody talks to each other. You basically are just kind of in the line and waiting for your thing, and nobody's really interacting or relating. But if it suddenly comes up on the board, or the steward makes a comment and says something along the lines of, "Oh, I'm sorry, your flight is going to be an hour later," or something like that, all at once, people who never talk to each other will turn to each other and go, "Can you believe this?" And they will start fellowshipping, sharing their misery. Do you know what I'm talking about? Right? And so there's a real principle there. You want to make your wait go faster, reach out to somebody. You know what I mean? Talk to somebody. How miserable it all is, really. Okay, number 6. The greater the perceived value, the longer you are willing to wait. The greater the perceived value, the longer you are willing to wait. If you've ever had the experience like me, the other day I went into Sam's Club and I needed to grab one thing, and I came to get in line, And there were all the lines, all filled up, 5, 6 deep with people with big carts. And I had my one little thing in my hand, looking at all those lines. And finally, I just stuck it really not where it was supposed to go. You know what I'm saying? I just said, okay, I'm out of here. You know, I'm not waiting in that line. You know, the value, the perceived value was not worth the wait. And I think this one here is what Paul's talking about when he says, the momentary light affliction is not worthy to be compared with the eternal weight of glory that is being worked into your life. The momentary light, that is, yes, you are going through something. You're going through a weight now. You're going through suffering now. You're going through difficulty now. But it's not worthy to be compared with what I'm doing in your life, what I'm doing. This is valuable enough for you to stand in this line. It'll have a good impact on you.